And off we go. So I wanted to show you something. So there's this term that I love, anti-fragile, coined by Nassim Taleb, who's actually an economist. If you've taken my yin training, you've heard a lot about anti-fragility. And anti-fragility is a really interesting concept. It's not resiliency. That's a different thing. And so it was actually he discovered this term. He found this term talking about banking systems and economic stuff, but it translates really well to the human body. So something that is fragile is easily broken, obviously, right? So think about something like Nassim Taleb, he uses the example of a credit card, that if you bend it back and forth a bunch of times, it's going to crack. It's going to break, right? So it's not anti-fragile, it's a fragile thing. But something like us, a human body, or in his case, banking systems, is anti-fragile. And his definition of anti-fragile, I'm paraphrasing, but it's something like things that are anti-fragile are actually when they're subjected to shocks, failures, chaos, things that fall apart, all of this kind of stuff. It doesn't just stay the same. It's not just resilient. It actually gets better. It becomes stronger. It becomes more, for us, we become more wise, more brave, more courageous, more strong. And I wanted to show you an image real quick here. Let me hang on one second. I'm going to pull it up. And it's a great image that really shows you the difference between fragile, resilient, and anti-fragile. So let me you cannot minimize, okay. It takes me forever to find something here. I've been using Zoom for 2 years, almost every day, and I'm still like, where is that thing? And there it is, okay. So let me show you this. Share. God, why is this so hard? Full screen. Okay, share screen. There we go. All right. So you can see this, I hope, this image that's got a person drinking a glass of wine, lounging on a couch with a sword hanging over him. And this is fragile. Things that are fragile. I sort of hate that this comes from the art of manliness, so please ignore that. But things that are fragile suffer or break from volatility, more downside than upside, always seeking tranquility. Mistakes are rare and large. And then we have this someone from myth, sort of an archetype as the sort of Damocles. And then things that are resilient stay the same. They're indifferent to tranquility and volatility, the myth of the phoenix. So things that are resilient, I like to use the metaphor of, or the analogy of like a beer stein, like a big beer stein, and they're big and they're sturdy. And sometimes you might drop one and it lands on the floor and it kind of bounces, but it doesn't break, right? And you pick it back up and it's like, oh, good, it didn't break. It's the same. So that's resilient, when you can go through a challenge, when you can fall apart, when you can fail, and you come out of it and you're still the same. We call that resiliency. But anti-fragile is different. See, anti-fragile grows and gets stronger from volatility. There's more upside than downside, actually seeking disorder, seeking chaos, I would say, seeking failure, mistakes. And the myth is the Hydra, which we're not going to get into today, but you kind of get the difference, I hope, from seeing these images. So I'm going to stop that. And we've been talking in our teacher training a lot about failure. Like last night, it just seemed to come up again and again, this idea of you have to fail in order to grow. You have to fail often in order to succeed, that there's really, it's all part of the package. And failure. And then also we're going to talk today about adding some load to our yoga practice, because yoga in and of itself is not necessarily going to make you physically, your tissues, anti-fragile. It might keep you resilient. It might have, of course, it makes you better in lots of ways, but to really become injury resistant, to become stronger, to become more healthy in our body, more anti-fragile, we have to add some load. So that's why I've asked you to bring all kinds of props today. And so I'll show you mine again for those who just came in. I've got 2 yoga blocks. I got a bag of rice, And instead of hand weights, I've got 2 jars of pickled jalapeno peppers. So whatever you might have, you could bring with you. And if you have nothing, we can do it all with nothing. So just coming to sit to start with today, and you can have your props kind of nearby. And as you sit, you can arrange your legs however it feels good and supportive for you. And you can bring your hands somewhere onto your body, either thighs, heart, and belly, or together touching your heart. And to just take a deep breath right into the central channel of your body, spine. Think about the very center of your spine, the deepest, innermost part of yourself, rising up and reaching down, feeling your beautiful length. And then keeping all of that length as you grow wide from side to side. You could let your breath reach into the edges, the tuxedo stripes of your body, and find your width from edge to edge. And keeping that beautiful length, keeping that width, finding your depth from back to front, so that you become really 360 degrees. And as you breathe, you can breathe all around yourself, really circumferential breathing, reaching into every little nook and cranny of your body, every tissue, every fiber, soaking it with your breath. And we'll begin with one Om, so you can breathe in. Om. Your arms fall, and you can take your hands to your knees to start with today. And hang on, Katrina, you have a question, you can shout it out, go for it.
I don't. Ignore me when that happens. It's like a weird technological glitch.
Yeah, no.
I'll shout it out if I do have a question.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Good. Yeah, I trust that you all will. You shout anything out if you need to. So hands on your knees, just a simple cross-legged seat, just some seated cat-cow. So rocking your spine forward and back a number of times. Trying to keep that sense of your length and your width and your depth. And as you keep this going, this seated cat-cow, you can start to add some arms. So as I rock back, I hold my knees, and as I rock forward, I lift one arm and reach it kind of in a semicircle up and around a bit. And you can explore how much range you want, how much range you have here, and just being really curious. And curious also about, what's stopping me when I stop. Is there old injuries? Is there tightness in my muscles? Is there a feeling of bone meeting bone? Just really being inside the depths of your own body and really curious. So keep it going like that. But as one hand comes down, cross it to the opposite knee. Lift the arm, reach, and then opposite knee. So you're crisscrossing your arms as you do this, and you're still moving your spine. And think of yourself really like water, that you just sort of flow open, flow into that rounded back. And the next time you land with your left arm on top, keep it there. So have left arm on top, right arm underneath, and you can really bow the head now and round your back and let your chin fall. And let's try some eagle arms as you come up. And so that might look like holding your shoulders like a hug. It might look like the wrists coming towards each other, or it might even look like the wrists crossing and the palms pressing together. Maybe for today, if you have the palms pressed, you might interlace your hands into a fist just for something different, and reach your elbows up. Press your forearms away from your face a little bit, and then come back to your length. So graceful. Your width. So connected, and your depth, right? So deep. You are so full of so many complex things. And then take your arms, open them out like a cactus. You can undo the eagle arms, keeping the elbows bent. Draw your elbows back like you've got a lime between your shoulder blades, and you want to squeeze the lime to get the juice out. So squeezing your elbows back, squeezing your shoulder blades together, and then going the opposite way. Try to bring your elbows together, your palms together in front of you. They might touch, they might not. Not everybody's arms zip together here. So wherever you land is great, but trying to keep however far apart or close your elbows and forearms are right now, as you slowly lift them up to the sky. They might not go very far. It might not even look like they're moving, but you're super duper squeezing the bones of your forearms towards each other really as strongly as you can as you try to lift your elbows up. Press and lift. You can press the palms into one another, press the forearms if you can, you press the elbows into one another. And then release. As you release, amazing how something so simple can get you so hot, right? So as you release, I got hot, so I'm taking my socks off. I'm going to bring your feet in front of you, and I'm going to show you this way so you can see better. So feet in front of you, your knees are bent, and your hands can come right underneath the backs of your knees. And then your legs are not really tight in towards you, and they're not super far away either. They're just sort of in the middle. And then go ahead, holding under your thighs, see if you can lean back until your arms straighten. And then stay there and release your hands so that your fingertips come to the floor. Your arms are kind of like a V out to the sides. We're going to go really slow here, one leg at a time. Start with any leg, it doesn't matter. Start to slide it out along the floor, super slow. Point through the toes of that leg you just slid out long. See how much you can lift it away from the ground without losing the integrity of your shape, that your back stays flat, that your fingers stay on the ground, and then you can lower it slow motion back down until you feel your heel touch the ground, and then return it back to where it started. Slowly bend your knee until it meets the other one. And then same thing, other side. So just noticing if you're rounding in your back at all, and see if you can try to find a really straight or diagonal spine here. And then send your other leg straight out along the ground, super slow. Point through the toes. Lift the leg up. Doesn't have to be a lot, even an inch or two. You see how far you go without losing the integrity. And then slow. Usually I find on the way out of something, I just want to plop. So trying to work it so that you go super slow, especially on the return, and then bending the knee once again. And then you can just come around and hug your knees really close. You can either put hands on your shins or wrap your arms around your legs. Drop your head, take a big rounded back. We go around a little bit. Hands behind you, fingertips pointing towards your hips, feet about hip width apart in front of you, under your knees, and upside down tabletop. And just go ahead and lift your pelvis up as much as it wants to go. Your head might fall back and rock around a little bit. And then when we come down, do all that again from the other side. So if you remember which leg was in front when you sat cross-legged, put the other one in front this time. If not, doesn't matter. Hands to your knees and just some seated cat-cows, rocking the spine. You can make it kind of rhythmic, meditative even. And then adding some arms as you rock forward, and arm reaches and creates a little rainbow, kind of a circle over your head. You can start crossing to opposite knee, just crossing the arms. And then when you arrive the next time, with your right arm on top, no rush to get there, but right arm over left. Go ahead and just let everything melt. Drop your head around your back, soft face muscles. Might even stick out your tongue. And then coming out for eagle arms, either holding your shoulders in a hug, wrapping the forearms around each other if you can. Might press the palms, or if you can, you try interlacing, and then elbows go up. Forearms move forward, even if it's just a millimeter, it doesn't have to be a ton. Crown to the sky, sitting bones to the earth, wide and deep, all at once. And then as you release your eagle arms, elbows stay bent, they come out to the sides like a cactus, and squeeze your shoulder blades together really strong. And then bringing forearms, elbows, palms all in together as close as you're able to. And you might grab a prop here now. Like I'm just going to grab a bag of rice. You could grab little weights. There's all kinds of, you could grab a yoga block, or here if you have weights, you can put them in your hands. Try this, try squeezing your forearms together with a little bit of weight in your hands, whatever it might be. and then press it up towards the sky without losing that squeeze, squeezing elbows in, squeezing forearms together. And release. You can put your weight off to the side. Take your feet in front of you. So just like we did before. So we're going to play little by little, kind of adding load to different shapes. So taking your feet out in front of you, knees bent, hands underneath the thighs, and you can go ahead and lean back until your arms are straight and your back is straight. And then release your arms out to a V, fingertips to the floor. And you could try this time, see how it feels, to take both legs out at the same time. And so if that turns out to be too much, there's always the option of going back to where we were. This is no contest or anything. This is just curious exploration about what happens when we keep adding load to different shapes. So you can try it a couple of times, sliding the legs out. You could try pointing your toes and see if you can lift your legs up. They might not go very far. And back down. And bending knees, sliding the heels back. Do it a couple of times, right? So one way that we add load is to repeat things. And so the more you repeat, you'll feel the harder it gets. Time and repetition are ways to add. So trying this on your next one. We're still going slow. We're still sliding the feet out, pointing the toes and lifting. The next time you bend your knees and pull them in, see how far you can pull them in without moving anything else. So your back stays the same, your arms stay the same. Trying to pull your knees in without moving anything else. Oh, and then you can just release it onto your back. I don't know about you all, but I'm sweating now. So on your back, go ahead and take a simple, easy twist here. So you can draw your knees in towards your chest. You can rock them over to one side. If you want to wrap your legs like eagle legs, feel welcome to, or keep them stacked. It all works. Take good care of your own body. And then you can start to make your way. Oh, take the other side if you haven't already. And after a couple breaths in each side of that twist, go ahead and start to bring yourself up to all fours. And as you come to all fours, a little movement of your spine here. So we did cat-cow seated, and now we can do it on hands and knees, just feeling the difference there. Any other movement that wants to happen, let it happen for a few moments. And then we're going to stick one leg out to the side. Let's do the right leg so we're all on the same page. I'm going to mirror you. So right leg's going to come out to the side like a gate pose. And then try some movement of your hips here. Can you move your hips around? Can you take them in a circle? Can you take them in a figure 8 even, or forward and back? Just playing with how much movement you can create here while you got this sort of funny shape of the body, asymmetric shape. And then go ahead and lift that right leg, come to neutral spine, and lift your right leg straight up away from the ground and put it back down. And now left hip, think about it, really hugging the midline. Try not to let it move at all. Keep your arms really straight, and the weight, try to keep it nice and even as best as possible on your hands. And now do the same thing. Try to lift and put it down. And one last time, lift it. This time we're going to swing it back behind you. Crisscross your thighs. You can even open your feet out wider to the sides like Gomukhasana, and do a little shift back and forth and around here. You can add some cat-cows, kind of like we did with the gate, the legs stuck out, moving the hips in a circle or a figure 8 or anywhere that they want to move. And then from there, we're going to take the right leg and step it back, toes tucked under, and then into a plank. Step the left leg back. And you can always touch your knees down here, definitely. Otherwise, you're going to stay in your plank and try this real slow. Bend one knee, and it might almost touch the floor. It might even touch the floor, but try to stay in your plank so your hips don't move. And then straighten it again. And the other knee bends. Maybe it even just bends an inch or two. And you straighten. And one more time each side. Bend one knee. And straighten, not coming out of the plank, bend the other knee. And straighten, downward facing dog. Go ahead and press back. You can pedal out through your feet, tread the mat or the surface you're on, shake your head out a little bit. You can lift your right leg up to the sky. Try that. See how that feels today. Maybe you want to bend your knee. Maybe you want to make some circles with the toes, the ankle, the knee. And eventually we're coming towards a lizard situation. So the right foot lands outside the right hand, nice and wide. Back knee comes on down, and this would be a nice place for a blanket or a pillow if your knee feels sensitive here. You got a twist, the left hand down, the right arm reaching up. And just finding a big, generous expanse between your hands and all around the heart, the front, the back, and the sides. As you bring your top hand down, I'm going to walk my hands out around to the left on the diagonal, and it might be a nice place for blocks here. If the floor feels far away, you can stick some blocks or pillows or anything underneath your hands. Bless you. Woo, bless you. And then if you wanted to, you might even try bending one forearm. I'm bending my right forearm here, coming down a little closer. You don't have to do that. You can stay up on your palm or on your blocks. And then we'll let that go, walking it back around to the front. As you come back with your hands in front of you, tuck your back toes under. Let's try a squat, step forward. So you're in a kind of a wide stance with your feet, and you might bring your elbows to your thighs, and that's a really good place to hang out, where you might come down lower. And then ways to add load. There's so many ways we can add load in squat, but one of them is just to reach the arms up in the air. You can reach your arms up. You might even interlace your hands and press your palms up. And then you could try this also. You could try coming up, especially if you're way down low. You could try coming up an inch or two and stay there and press through your arms. And try coming up one more inch and stay there and press through your arms. And then go ahead, straighten your legs, fold over them. You can bring your feet underneath you. You might bend and straighten one knee and then the other. Shake yourself out. Great place for blocks underneath the hands. If you want to meet the floor, bring the floor to you. And then we'll try a twist here. So the right hand can stay down. The right knee bends really generously, and the left arm is going to fly up. So a big Uttanasana kind of twist here. One knee bent, your left leg moving towards straight, and so much space between your hands. And change other side, left hand down, left knee bends super generously, right arm reaches for the sky, twisting. And as that hand comes down, you can soften both knees, rolling up to stand, pour your way up into the sky, reach your arms out and up, just a simple sun salutation moment here, arms to the sky, and then opening wide to fold down over your legs. And you can step or hop your way back to downward facing dog. From downward dog to a plank, knees or not, lower super slow motion to the floor. How slow can you go? Yeah, when you reach the floor, take a sphinx actually. Let's bring elbows to the floor and start in a sphinx pose today. That's it, and just let your spine grow a little longer and more elegant. Face might soften, throat could soften. Your legs really streaming behind you. And then let it down and take it into your child's pose. So yours, it might be knees open, it might be knees together, or it might be arms stretched out, or it might be elbows on the floor. And as you come on back to all fours, we can try all that on the other side, if I can remember it. Have your props handy, because we're going to play with adding some load to it this time. So starting the same way on your hands and knees, and we're going to stick the left leg out to the side. So coming to this sort of gate, asymmetrical hands and knees, and moving your body around, seeing what your body wants to say to you today. Your body speaks in the language of sensation. So you don't even need to put any words to anything, just having a sensation conversation with your own body. And from there, we'll try lifting the left leg straight up. So right where it is, just see if you can pick it up off the floor and put it back down. God, that's hard, isn't it? And then hugging that right hip way in, stabilizing everything as best you can. Try it one more time. Lift up. Oh, and down. You can imagine, like, if we put ankle weights on or something, that would definitely add some load, but we're not going to do that. One more time. Lift it up. Keep it up this time. Swing it back behind you. Crisscross your thighs. Move your feet out to the sides a little more if that's available to you. And then just a little movement again. You can shift forward, back, side to side. Move your spine, move your hips, shoulders, head, anything at all. And then this time, when you let it go, it's going to be left leg stepping back, toes curled under, and then plank, right leg steps back. And so to add a little bit to what we did before here, so to take away some load, you put the knees down, right? That's a great option. We did one knee at a time last time. You could stick with that, or you could try two knees at once. So super slow. You're trying to stay in a plank, but just bend your knees, maybe only an inch or two, and then straighten them. And you decide, right? So it's really up to us. Keep going. It's only up to you. I can't tell you. I'm not in your body, but how much load is too much? How much is just enough? How much is not enough, right? So if you want to go back to one leg at a time, you do that. If you want to touch your knees down, you do that. And then everybody, downward dog. Go ahead and press on back. Take a moment to settle in, tread through the feet. And it'll be left leg up into the sky. You can reach it up behind you. And a lizard with your left foot forward. Take your time. So it's wide outside edge of the mat. Back knee can touch down, a little padding if you want it. And then a twist, left arm flying up into the air. And any movement, I see some of you doing all kinds of cool things. Yeah. Honor the longing of your tissues. What do they want to say to you today? Take the twist into a sort of lateral walk around as both hands come down. You might try walking them around to the right and see what happens. You can stay with your hands on the floor. You could put them on blocks. You could put your left forearm down, perhaps. It's all this great experiment of like finding just the right amount of chaos and stress, right? And like we think of stress as a bad thing, but stress can be a really good thing. It's called eustress, E-U-S-T-R-E-S-S. It means good stress. And it's the kind that makes us anti-fragile, kinds that makes us stronger, wiser, better when we're subjected to failure and shock. Walk it back around to the front. As you come to the front, both feet are going to step forward. So it's a squat. And again, it's your way, but you can grab a prop this time. I'm going to grab 2 jars of jalapenos. You could take your weights, a block, anything, and try coming to squat and lifting whatever your prop is above your head. And then checking in, is it too much? Did I go too far? If I did, I put it down. You can raise the arms or I can bring them to the floor. So you're really in charge here. If you want, we could try this. This is going to be a little challenging, but let's see how we do. To lift up your butt about an inch or two. Take your arms out like those cactus arms again. If you got a prop, you got one in each hand. Squeeze your shoulder blades together behind you. Stay in here, squeeze your forearms together as best you can. Squeeze, 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 lift it up towards the sky, even if it's just a millimeter. And release, put your props down, straighten your legs as much as they want to straighten, turn your toes forward towards the front, have a little wobble around, and we can use the props here one more time. So one hand is going to stay down on the floor and I'm holding my prop with my hand, kind of using it to press on, almost like a block. Other arm goes up. So let's put right arm to the sky. Okay, and your left knee is going to bend. Right arm up, left knee bends as you come into this Uttanasana twist. So we added a little load. We can even add some more if you wanted to try this by taking your bottom hand, just floating it an inch off the ground. So now you're going to hold yourself here with a little weight in your hands. Changes things a lot, doesn't it? And you decide Is it the right amount of stress or not? And then you can let that go. Come back to center, both knees bend, both hands soften down. Try the other side, and you might change your mind. You might take a different prop. You could try all kinds of different weights of things too. So left arm's going up, right knee bends. Find this twist. And then you can play. Do you like the weight in your hand? Maybe even just the top arm. Top hand has the weight like a bag of rice here. I can put in my top hand. And then I can decide, do I want to float the bottom arm off the ground an inch and try to hold this? Maybe the answer is no when I come back, or maybe it is a good amount of stress for my tissues. And then you can let it all come back down. Bend your knees to roll all the way up. Take the arms out and up with you. Reach for the sky. Fold back down over your legs. Downward facing dog. And you can roll yourself through to a plank. Super duper slow-mo lower down. So touching the knees down takes away some load. Yeah, when you come down, Sphinx pose, elbows on the ground. Beautiful. We can even add a little or a lot here. So from Sphinx pose, you might tuck your toes under, and you might just engage your legs so that your kneecaps lift and they come up off the ground. Or you might press into your forearms and your toe mounts and come up into a forearm plank. For 3 and 2 and 1. Let it down slow. Slow motion. And then take a cobra. So trying this, explore where your hands go. And cobra, you could bring your fingertips to the floor or your palms. You could have them under your shoulders and try that. You could have them out really wide and try that. See how that feels. You could bring them in really close underneath you, almost towards your waist, and see how that feels. And you could bring them way out in front of you and see how that feels. And then find one. So experiment with 3 or 4 or 5. You can even twist. Like I love putting one arm way in front and one close to me and taking a big twist. So experimenting a bit until you find one to land in. Pick one that feels like it's really the right one for you in this moment right now, not forever, but for right now. And then take a breath in and stay for the whole breath out. And do that one more time. A breath in and stay for the whole breath out. And then you could try this wherever you are in your cobra. Can you really engage your legs and try lifting your hands up an inch from the ground? And maybe a breath in and a whole breath out, and then a child's pose. So you can use just the weight of your own body to add load too. It doesn't have to be a prop. Go ahead and come on back, all fours, tuck your toes, downward dog. So let's have 2 props with you, whatever it might be, 2 blocks, 2 cans, 2 bottles of wine, whatever you've got, and come back to downward dog. Have your props near the front of your mat. I'm going to take the right leg to the sky and step into warrior 2. So right foot steps forward, back heel anchors down, grab your props. And as you come up, you've got something in each hand in this warrior 2, just for fun. And again, you can decide, you can try a weight. If it's too much, you can try something else. Flip your right palm to face the ceiling, and reverse warrior. Maybe you don't touch the back leg with your prop or your hands, so that you're just really floating and calling on those deep abdominals right next to your spine to hold you up here. Side angle, you can bring your right elbow down to your right thigh and your left arm with the prop overhead. The same thing here. So we've already added some load with these weights, but you could even float your right elbow off your thigh. And it's even more challenging. And then from there, you can put your elbow back down if it was off. Go ahead and circle down. Take it for a walk to the long side of your space. You can put your props down there. We don't need them for now. Turn your toes towards wherever you're facing and just take a moment to hang in this forward bend. You might hold your elbows or reach for your ankles or sway and swing the upper body a bit. And letting that go, take it for a walk back around towards your right foot. Stepping back into plank pose. Choosing if you want to be in a plank or on your knees. I'm going to show you on my knees for now. And then we'll take one forearm to the floor. And then the other. And then palm comes back where the elbow was. Straighten your arm, come back up to your plank or your half plank. Start with the other arm, forearm down. And then the other one. And then palm down. And straight arms. And last time, one forearm down. And then the other. And this time you can lower your pelvis, your belly, come back to Sphinx pose. And then taking your head down to the floor, you can let your forehead really kiss the ground. Sweep your arms back behind you with your palms facing up, sort of streaming down by the side of your body. And go ahead, lift everything up away from the ground. Your legs, your arms, your head, your chest. Think about long, beautiful spine, and you're wide and you're deep. You haven't lost any of that. Fly up just another millimeter or another inch. And release the whole thing. You can take it back through a child's pose. So you do it your way. Knees wide, arms down or elbows down, and have a rest here. Recover. So rest, really important, just as important as load and stress and all of that. This is where you get to soak in the benefit, where your tissues get to become not just resilient, but stronger, more hydrated, more flexible, more injury resistant. It's happening right now like magic inside your body. Come on back to all fours and have your props back near the top of your space, downward dog. And do that on the other side. So once you arrive in downward dog, you can peel your left leg up and back and grab your props as you come into warrior two. Yeah. I used to be so poo-poo on like yoga with weights and all that kind of stuff. Reverse warrior, and you're trying to maybe not lean on your leg because it was always all about flexibility for so long. But I think so many of us learning and coming to realize that flexibility is not everything, that there's got to be strength behind it. Go ahead and take side angle. You can bring your elbow to your thigh, your right arm alongside your ear. Yeah, and you could try perhaps floating your elbow off the thigh, or you decide, no, that's not the stress that I want today. That's not what my tissues need. Yeah, oh, good. I love reaching arms out and everything. You all are amazing. And then from there, go ahead and let it dissolve down to the ground and come into that wide-legged fold to the side. So take yourself around. And a little playtime here. You might bend one knee and then the other, like a skandasana, if you're familiar with that. You might even take a headstand. Who knows? You could put your crown down and fly your legs up in the air. You've got some time here. But it's really about listening. We had a beautiful workshop last night, and our teacher Miles was talking about deep listening. How important that is, that especially, you don't have to do anything fancy. So there's no imperative to like have to go up in a headstand one day or anything. Just listening is a really deep practice. And then coming down, if you're up in the headstand, you could come on down. You could take it for a walk back around to the front of your space, stepping back into plank pose. So if you did on your knees last time, you might try it in the full plank this time or not, but same thing went up. Start with the opposite elbow that you started with last time. So elbow down, then elbow down, and then palm to the floor and back up to plank. And then switching other elbow leads, elbow down, and try not to rock your body too much. Back up to plank, and last time, elbow down, lowering the whole body down now, pelvis down, toes uncurl, belly soft for a moment. Sphinx pose. So have your props, okay, something in each hand, whatever. It could be a shoe even, anything at all. You don't want anything too heavy for this one. because you'll see it's pretty challenging. So we're going to do that same locust pose, right? So I'll even show you first if you want to watch for a second. I'm going to start like we did before, arms back by my sides, palms facing up, props in my hands, and then everything comes up, arms, legs, head, and chest. And this is what we're going to do with it. We're going to pulse the arms up and down and take them slowly out to the sides towards the front as far as they want to go, and then back, and do that a few times. So give that a shot. Get your props in your hands. Come down onto your belly and your forehead. Lift everything away from the ground, and you've got these little weights in your hands, whatever it might be, and just start to lift your arms, pulse them up and down, and start opening them slowly, like an inch at a time, out to the sides, and towards the front as far as they want to go today, and then back. One more time. As repetition adds load, it gets harder, doesn't it? Whew. And back. And then you can let all of it go. Drop your props off to the side. Press your way up to all fours. Child's pose. You can squish your way back and take a moment for yourself there. You can also, might feel nice to add a walk around to the side like we did in lizard. You can do that here in child's pose. So take a walk over in one direction. Say you're walking over to the right, then you'll really reach through the left arm or vice versa. And then walking it back through the middle and around to the other side, no rush. And then come on back. As you come on back, we're just going to flip it over onto our side. I'll show you. And you don't need your props anymore. So I'm putting my jalapenos away. And coming to like an Ananta Asana kind of a shape, this Vishnu's couch where you're lying. Let's lie on the right side. So everybody together on your right side. And prop your right forearm up. So it's under your elbows, under your shoulder, and the forearm is parallel to the top of your space. And even just that, it can be challenging, right? You can bring your top arm and just rest it on your top thigh, your outer thigh, and to hold yourself up here and try to stay centered. And there might be some wobbles around as you try to really feel into your center here. And then we're going to create like a kind of a little pike position with the body by moving the legs forward a few inches. So you have a little bend at the hips now. And I'll show you, this is another one you might want to watch for a moment first. So I'm going to point my toes and try to lift my legs. As I lift my legs, I roll towards my right cheek, my right butt cheek, and I'm reaching my left hand towards my toes and then coming back down, right back to where I was. So give that a shot. So you're slightly bent at the hips, feet a little forward, point to the toes. And then as you press into your right forearm, you start to reach your legs up. And you sort of roll towards your right butt cheek and reach and come on down. Challenging, right? But if you wanted to add more load, you could. You could do it like this. You could come down onto your right shoulder and stretch your arms straight out. And then same thing, only this time you got farther to go. So you're pressing into your right palm, trying to lift the shoulder off the ground as you reach your legs up and your fingers towards your toes. And you can decide if that's the right amount of load for you, or if you want to go back to your elbow down, try it one more time. And when you finish that one, you can come onto your back, have a little reprieve and a happy baby, reach for your feet, rock around a little bit. And you can probably imagine we're heading over to the other side, so you can roll into your left side, left hip, prop yourself up on your left elbow. Yeah, take your time. And then just finding center there, finding a still point in the midst of everything. Right, to hold our center when things get shaky, weird, turned upside down, we hold our center. And then you can bring your legs a little bit forward. So there's a, yeah, perfect. And then starting to lift your pointed toes up. Keep your legs zipped together. Reach your right fingers towards your toes. Yeah, you roll onto your left butt cheek. And then slow on the way down, right? You feel, I know, on the way down, you just go, me too. Try it again. Yep. That's it. And see if you can go even slower on the descent. And then you can decide, is that plenty for me? Or do I want to come down onto my left shoulder? Press the palm down and try it that way. More load. Ooh, oh, not for the faint of heart, that one. And you could do one more, your choice, however you want to do it. And then rolling onto your back for a happy baby once again. Wobble, wobble. Yeah. And you can bring your feet down to the ground. Take a bridge pose, feet under knees, about hip width apart. And bring your palms down by your side. And lifting pelvis to the sky. There you go. Simple, just a nice simple bridge. Feel what's pressing into the ground is another great takeaway from the workshop last night. Miles was saying that we need resistance to grow. Like, if you want to stand up, you have to press into the ground. There's got to be something to push against. Come on down. And, one option, I wasn't gonna, but we can do one more little load adding thing. A simple one is you could take a prop into each hand and you could just float your arms away from the ground a couple of inches here. And then try coming back into a bridge, and it changes it quite a bit, doesn't it? And you can decide, I don't like that, or I do. That's the right amount of stress, or it's not. You can put your hands down if you need to. And then come on down. We don't have to stay forever, and that's good. And then up to you. We'll take one more back bend. It can be a bridge. It can be a wheel. You can come up to your knees and take a camel if you like. One just like super feel good moment. So giving your body, it could be a restorative. You might slide a block or pillow underneath your sacrum and take a restorative back bend. There's no hurry. You could stay a few more breaths, or you could come out when you feel complete. And when you come down to not miss that feeling, the after pose, the reverberation, the echo, feel wherever it is. What did you stir up? Do you feel temperature? Do you feel vibration? Just noticing, listening. We listen in the pose and we listen when we come out of the pose. And then you could make your way down onto your back, no rush. If you're on your knees for camel, you could spin around. If you're on your back, you might hug your knees in, holding your knees in your hands, move your knees around some circles. And then half ankle to knee, right foot crossing over the left thigh. You could scoop your hands around behind your left thigh or around your left shin to draw the knees towards you. And keep the legs in that shape as you drop your left foot back to the ground. And then you could open your left foot, just move it a few inches over to the left. So it's more to the outside edge of your mat if you're using one. And then using that hooked right ankle to draw your left knee down to the floor to come into a different kind of a twist than we did earlier. And I like in this one to reach my arms up overhead and hold on here. I would hold on to my right wrist and give it a little pull, but actually either one works, but it can be nice to add a little more traction. So you're really feeling the traction through the spine, right? As the knees go down and forward and the arms go up and back. Okay, if you need to adjust this, change it to make it fit you better. I hope you do that. I trust you do that. And then you can release the whole thing, undo the legs, come on back to center. You can hug your knees into your chest one more time, move them around. And we'll do that on the other side. So it'll be left ankle over right thigh, and you're holding on somewhere that allows you to draw the knees in towards your chest some amount. Maybe there's a rock, or maybe it's quiet and still. What do you need? And as you release it, right foot comes down. It moves over to the right a little bit so that your left foot can start to drag your right knee down and over to the left side. Maybe your arms are going up. You might even, sometimes I like to pick up my rib cage and try to move it back away from my hips a couple centimeters. And you could reach your arms overhead and hold a wrist or clasp your hands. As you do release this one, go ahead and take one last shape of your choosing here. Perhaps it's a plow, a shoulder stand. You could roll up and take a seated forward fold, a Baddha Konasana or a Paschimottanasana, right? Knees bent or long leg, forward bend. Anything. There could be another twist. Got a minute. It's a long time, actually, a minute. So there might be more than one shape that comes out of you. If you're doing something on one side, give yourself some time on the other side. And then you could make your way into a resting shape, be it on your back or maybe even a seated rest or legs up the wall or over a couch, finding somewhere you can settle. Letting your tissues soften, your muscles fall off your bones, and your bones float in the sea inside you, just bobbing around like little boats in the ocean of tissue inside your body. You might breathe into your skin as if every pore in your skin was a lung you could fill up. As you exhale, letting your skin soften like silk. You can breathe underneath your skin, the soft layer between your muscles and your skins, and let that become like silk. You can breathe right down into your bones, right into the very center, the marrow of your bones. As you exhale, your whole shape can exhale, your bones, your muscles, your joints, tendons, your blood, even exhaling. Feeling the breath move through you again, feeling how your body changes shape as you breathe deeply again. You can begin to expand out into the space around you, moving your head, your fingers, your arms, your legs. Take your time. Feel your way through this return. Taking yourself back to sit when you're ready. We can finish the way we started. Hands on your body somewhere. Together at your heart. No rush. And if you're still lying down, lie down. You can om from the ground. You can breathe in with me if you like. Oh. Thank you all. I wish for us all that we might welcome some mistakes and some failure today, this weekend, every day. Thank you all. I